Off the record, Peter, what would you do if this one tanks, too? Like Slow Torture did?
I'd kill myself or do TV. I don't know which one's worse.
What would you do on TV?
I would do a TV show about, hell, I'd do a TV show about me, huh? That'd be interesting. A TV show about a Hollywood producer, morally corrupt, nobody likes him. I'd have cursing, sexual content. I'd have guest stars running in and out. It'd be a big hit. All you'd have to do is find the right time slot.
All right, even if there were an audience for a show like that, which, Peter, I seriously doubt, do you think any major network would put this on without censoring, pixelating, and bleeping the hell out of it?
You bet your fucking ass they would.
I got a phone call one day from Chris Albrecht at HBO. Said, look, you know, we have been told now, which is, you know, off the record, that the Larry Sanders Show is going to be discontinued, and we would like to know if you would want to do a similar show about the movie business.
Joel Silver called me when he just a few years ago decided he wanted to do some television. And he called me and said, I want to do a show about making movies. And I said, well, Joel, you're the show about making movies.
When we started to look at what the stories would be for the next 12 episodes, went out to dinner a couple of times with Joel and just sat there and listened.
I just told them stories about, you know, that I lived through with the movies. And they heard all these stories and they took all pieces of them and parts of them and they kind of put them into this show.
It did initially start off as Joel Silver. We never got to spend as much time with Joel Silver as we did with Chris Thompson.
Probably more Chris than me. Yeah, no, I don't. The Peter Dragon became a creation of all of us. I was also very careful to make it clear that it wasn't me. I think in the second episode, Peter goes into the restaurant and says, "Where's my table?"
Peter, nice to see you. I don't remember you calling tonight.
It's very funny. Is table 7 ready?
I think Mr. Joel Silver is on table 7.
Joel Silver? That fat hack? Why is Joel Silver at my table?
Yes, well, The Matrix, it did very well.
Yeah, okay. Hey, Joel, he also made Xanadu.
After it was written and it was going to go ahead, we had trouble finalizing our deal at HBO. It was simply about, appropriately, the reason that show went to Fox is greed, mine.
We were not able to make a deal with HBO, which is, you know, I guess looking back through the haze of memory is the unfortunate thing, because the show, I think, still would have existed if we had been an HBO show.
We gave the script to Fox just to get another bidder in so that HBO hopefully would come up in the money that they were offering for it. And Fox instead flipped for it. And so we were just going to use them as a bidding, to start a bidding war, but what happened is they just said, no, please, God, give us this script.
And so it ended up going on Fox, and I can't fault them. They did an incredible job. They promoted the shit out of it. They really did a great job with it, but it just had a harder time finding an audience.
I had written this with Oliver Platt in mind, and I had Oliver Platt for a minute. And then he only wanted to do like 11 a year or something like that. And while I believe that would be good for the quality of the show, I need lots of money because I like whores and narcotics and cars and trips, and 11 a year doesn't pay for all that.
Once we committed to the deal at Fox, we sat down and said, who do we want to, play the part? And Jay Moore is a guy that we both had known, we both were aware of, and we said, he's the guy we want.
Joel suggested Jay. And I said, yeah, he's incredibly funny. Is he right for this? Is he too young? And we went through that. And then we decided, okay, let's go after him. And we went after him, and he said no to us 5 times.
I started getting calls from Chris Thompson. I started getting calls from Joel Silver. I started getting calls from the network. I started getting calls from Sony. Will you please have Jay read this?
I was given the script for Action by Joel Silver, and I had a meeting with Joel Silver, and I said, I didn't want to do the show. I didn't want to do television. And he said, why won't you do this? This is your show. I'm telling you it's your show. I said, well, I kind of got like a film career. I just finished Go. I just finished Suicide Kings. He goes, who are you, Parker fucking Posey? I do big movies. Do this. He called me Parker Posey.
I think I said Parker fucking Posey, but he did eventually agree to do our show.
And then he called back like in an hour and said, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'll do it. But then we also paid him a lot of money. Remember, it's always a lot of money. These stories mean nothing unless attached to a lot of money.
Brilliant. Oh my God, this is funny. But how are you going to get away with masturbating in a guy's salad in the pilot episode? And that got changed to urinating. But just all the curses and the fucks and the shits and employee of the fucking century, I thought, are they out of their minds?
I'm Peter Dragon. That's right. And while you've admirably restrained yourself over the years from peeing in the Cobb salads, I've made 10 motion pictures that have earned this studio $1 billion. So I'm going to continue to park wherever the fuck I want because, unfortunately for you, I'm employee of the fucking century.
I had only seen him, I guess, in Jerry Maguire, and to see him, you know, become this Hollywood monster, this animal, was really thrilling. He was great.
He's the absolute worst human being on the planet.
Ah, she sneezed on me. See, my foot, get up, Stuart, is gonna be so far up your ass that a piece of my ass might actually be in your ass. Can you make that kind of a commitment?
Yes,
Are you
yes,
able to
I
do
think
it?
I can.
I can't
Yes.
hear you.
Yes, I am.
That's right.
I'm able. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
Okay,
about.
what's... Ah! Oh, God! Oh, my God! What are you doing?
Now let our blood mingle.
We're prepared to offer you $1 million if you show your star smoking our cigarettes.
You want me to sell cancer to children
Yes.
for under $3 million?
You called 5 of the most powerful men in America old whores, and then you told the rest of the country they were only interested in Stallone movies and oral sex.
Yeah, well, I was obviously kidding. Nobody cares about Stallone movies. I know I haven't been a perfect man, but, you know, let's face it. You know, let's not dick around. You haven't always been a perfect god, okay? You made a bunch of earthquakes, the Ebola virus, Tom Arnold, Hanson. I mean, got some explaining to do, frankly.
You get to really say so many things that no other character would ever be able to say when you play a guy that despicable.
He really gave, you know, an amazing performance. But I also said, I've always maintained that he was too young to play that part.
Jerry Maguire, I was 25 playing a 33-year-old. So I always kind of, my first time out of the gate, I had to play older, and my second movie, Picture Perfect, I had to play older. I think there's just a suspension of disbelief with audiences when I mean, you know, there's flying monkeys in The Wizard of Oz. People don't go, hey, time out. Monkeys don't fly. You go with it.
Are you guys going to the premiere?
No, we're not.
Oh, because I know the director.
Hey, did you ever work with him?
Kinda. I just did him. He's a very nice guy.
It's great. I'll tell his wife and kids that she thinks so.
Ileana came on and did a very good job in the pilot. But I had to seduce her to come on. She didn't want to come on. To convince her to come on. She did a very good job in the pilot.
Ileana came in. She goes, why is my character such a whore? So we had to deal with that. You'll see that in the writing. You know, we were getting a lot of notes from Ileana. She didn't want to play a whore anymore. We were very confused.
Adam, have you ever had a Dominican face hat?
No.
Of course you haven't. Because I'm one of only 6 people in the world who knows how to do it. And Adam, when you get to page 80, I will do it to you.
Love Ileana. But that's a very ambiguous question. What are you, like fucking Robert Lipton? Ileana Douglas. Jay, let me just throw something out. Air.
Yes, right.
Atmosphere. Go.
Much of television writing can be done by primates. And these guys were all usually not as successful as other guys who were stupider than them, because sometimes being stupider is helpful in television.
You know, most, sitcoms are happy and la-la, and, the daddy is stupid, and it's the kid with the newspaper, and but action was mean and evil and angry.
We're all pissed off about stuff that's happened to us. We all have a good perception and an accurate perception of what this town is about.
I've worked with writers for years, artists, just like you. I know there's blood on those pages.
Yeah.
That's right. I was a writer myself. I wrote all my early movies.
Action comedies?
Gay porno.
getting writers for action, you want the ones with the bad teeth and the horrible whip marks and one leg and you know, an eye half out. And, you know, I can't hear from when Scott Rudin jammed a pencil in my ear.
So how far along are you? Just, I don't know, between you and me, off the record.
I got nothing.
You little brat! I'll kill you! Peter, stop it. That's not gonna help him, right?
What difference does it make? He hasn't written anything! I'm sorry, I have writer's block. Oh, you got blocked, huh? How about I unblock you with this People's Choice Award?
Don't do this. Don't do this.
It's a People's Choice Award. I got 70 of them.
I had only sick, unhappy, depressive, angry men on staff.
Sitting in any writer's room, on any half-hour television comedy, is, number one, the most unhealthy environment a human being, outside of maybe, there's a couple scenes in Papillon where, you know, like Dustin Hoffman has all of his valuables in his ass.
Virtually every single person on this show is in recovery. So we had a show of a lot of 12-steppers on this show. But I mean, Don was a very stabilizing force, and he really, you know, we were trying to make a show that was really out there and really crazy, and Don was extremely focused.
It felt so liberating to be able to write about the people that we knew in the way that we knew them. And they spoke the way that they really do speak.
I don't think you made it very clear whether Charlotte is the spider or the pig.
I didn't make that clear. Charlotte's web. It's in the title. Pig can't have a web.
Maybe just the tone.
It's the tone, really. You think it's the tone, do you?
It doesn't sound like a 10-year-old girl. I mean, it just misses.
No, it doesn't miss shit. The tone is there, Georgia. I mean, you don't think I know how to write for a 10-year-old girl? Let me tell you a little something, Georgia. I used to write for a little show, you might have heard of it, called Full House.
A good writer's room ruins you for the rest of the world because you're surrounded by extraordinarily bright, funny people. And you start to take that for granted. You start to think that the rest of the world is like that. And then you go out and talk to one of your relatives and you have nothing to say. You know, the references are not the same. The speed, the humor is so different.
They knew a guy that was a Disney employee that they caught with a hooker, like scrubbing floors. They knew a guy, and he walked off a set because his codpiece wasn't as big as the other guy's codpiece.
Look at that guy, look at that guy. His codpiece is bigger than mine!
What's a codpiece?
His codpiece, look at it, it's bigger!
Oh, his codpiece. Holden, they're identical.
It's embarrassing, man. People are gonna call me holding a toothpick.
The writers that Chris had put together for this show were fantastic. And some of the other stories they wanted to do it was just a shame that they couldn't, because they actually wanted to go and build this to be making a movie, and then our hope was to actually make this movie, which we could air on television as well.
I had Jesser and Silverstein, who was a team who had not worked. They had written a spec Olsen Twins sitcom that was filthy. They wrote it on purpose, filthy, absolutely would not be done anywhere about like Mary-Kate's first period. And it was horrifying.
Why I think Chris hired us, he thought it would be funny for us to be there. Not that we would be funny.
But the idea of hiring us is a funny hire.
Right, because us mixed with the real veterans and the crazy talents with us and a little innocent Will Forte would be a funny mix for a show. And I think, you know, you hire people to sort of round out what you think would be funny or creative.
At one time, Matt or Dave farted in a giant Pepsi bottle and then said to Matt, $10 if you will inhale this.
He's wearing water wings, for Christ's sakes! That is just sheer stupidity!
How do we know he's really dead? Usually when someone dies, they crap themselves, and the stuff floats up. Now, never mind. There's the mother lode. It's hooked underneath.
They were just horrible, ugly human beings. But they had done nothing, and I hired them, and they were wonderful. And I hired Will Forte, who had done almost nothing, who was now on Saturday Night Live.
There was like this unity in pain, or I don't know how to describe it. It was almost like being on a pirate ship or something. There was one guy there who would tell us he had tried to attempt suicide a number of times, and he wouldn't tell each one, but every once in a while, one would come out, and like there was one time he tried to swallow rat poison.
He tried rat poison twice, which he said is the worst pain you ever feel because your throat immediately clenches up.
Well, it does. Rat poison, what they don't tell you is it's nearly impossible to swallow. The second it goes in your tongue, everything swells up, and it's like such
You're
a
basically
horrible...
choking to death.
Yeah, you can't get it down you fast enough to actually have it kill you.
What's funny wins over everything else. If it's hurtful, it doesn't matter. If it's disgusting, it doesn't matter. If it's politically incorrect, it doesn't matter. What matters is that it's funny.
Yeah, that was fantastic. How do you feel, buddy? That was great. How do you feel? Not so good. I feel like I hurt his feelings.
Of course you hurt his feelings. You fired him, but you didn't really fire him. You hire the guy back before he even gets to his car.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, Larry the caterer shot himself. He's dead.
Oh my God.
Bafkin, you just killed a man.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fantastic.
In terms of standards and practices, before I did the show at Fox, I had a long conversation with Doug Herzog, who was the new president of Fox Television. And I said, Doug, we can't do this show with a normal standards and practices book. You know, they have like a book of what's allowed and what's not allowed, and that's a fluctuating thing, and you know, each year it lightens up, or then if there's a year where there's a lot of public outcry about something, then maybe it tightens up a little bit that year. So the standards and practices guys would give me all their normal notes that they would give any show, and I would simply ignore them.
I think Action is the filthiest television show ever made. It's certainly the filthiest show I've ever seen. It was so grimy and sleazy. We did everything. It was like a whole episode about the guy putting a frog in his asshole.
I heard a very disturbing story from the nurse in my OBGYN's office. She was the same nurse in the emergency room the night you were brought in.
What? Where?
Oh, please. You were rushed from San Francisco to Cedars because I can't even say it. Bobby.
I can. Because you had a frog up your ass.
Why would I have a frog on my ass?
Oh, come on, Peter. We all know about the erotic effects of amphibians.
The third episode, he takes a blowjob from the leading man of his movie, you know.
Cole, don't you think I want to walk down the street and go, hey, world, this is who I am? I dig men.
Peter, I had no idea.
Oh, hey, now you know. Cole, we have a secret that we have to keep. We have a secret that the people in the audience, they want us to keep.
Faking that he's gay is one thing. Faking that you're gay and taking a blowjob is a whole other area.
I remember episode 3 was as outrageous as we could get, you know, but it didn't, nobody said don't do it. I mean, the network never said you can't blow this guy, you know, you can't do it. We did it.
I feel so close to you now.
Cole, hey, Cole. We're sisters now. We can't get any closer.
We can sure as hell try.
Oh, I guess we can. Oh, that's, oh.
I think there was some cutting about how they had Jay, the way they had him go from how, at one point we followed him down as he was kneeling down, and then network said no, he has to leave frame. I mean, there was always, that was one that we did have discussion about, but believe me, there was issues on every show like that, but we got through it.
In the original episode 3 with Cole Riccardi, I was supposed to get blown twice. The original, which made me fall down laughing when I read it, was he says, "Encore, mi amor," and I say, "I swear to God, this is the last time." And I pulled down my pants. I let the guy blow me. It's the funniest fucking thing I've ever read in my life. And they made us take it out. They said, "We're letting you have gay head once at 9 o'clock on regular television. Why don't you do us a favor?"
We'd get notes from standards and practices like, you know, cocksucker is unacceptable in this time slot. We got a lot of those, and the standards and practices guys seem to ignore the deal that had been made. Chris had made the deal with Fox when they were going to do it at Fox that he was going to shoot real language and they would bleep it. That was it. And standards and practices never quite grasped that we were actually going to say these words out loud. And they would flinch physically every time one of them was uttered.
Even then, we knew, like, DVDs were coming, and that one day that this would come out, and you're going to unpixelate everything, and yeah. But what was the question?
Peter.
I personally think we pissed off some people. I mean, the numbers were bad, but they weren't that bad. Then they said, we're going to put 2 of them on. And in television, that's referred to as, we're going to burn you off.
Yeah, we lost him. He's dead.
Another one bites the dust. Okay, let's get the paperwork done. What's the TOD?
I'll check. Time of death, 9:30, Thursday night.
I think we were going up against Frasier at the top of its game. And so, Ron Zimmerman and I knew at that point we were fucked.
The Last Ride of the Elephant Princess that Jimmy Valley and I wrote. We wrote that as, in case we're canceled, this is, this series has an end.
I'm through with this, Peter. I called a cab, and I'm gonna go home and pack, and I'm gonna move someplace clean. But if the movie's a hit, I want you to call me because I want all my money back.
Wait, let me get this straight. You're quitting show business just because you had to fuck 2 fat guys to get a script back? I think you're overreacting.
I know you do. That's exactly the point. That's why I'm leaving.
We decided that we wanted to end it with the Wendy character realizing that being a whore is better than being in show business, that it's cleaner, it's more decent, people treat you better, it's just a better life.
When you get fucked, you get angry. So if you see the last 7 or 8 episodes, they're even angrier.
It really wasn't that we're angry and we want to vent. It was we're angry and we want to be funny.
Looking at those ratings was really difficult because we couldn't believe it. We thought this was the funniest show that anyone had ever done. How could America reject this? America actively hated this show.
In my career, and yes, I've made a lot of movies that have been very successful, but I've never been one to have really great reviews of my pictures. And even the first Matrix did not have great reviews. I never have found myself having great reviews. The reviews of the series of action were staggering. They were unbelievable. They were as if I sat down in my office and wrote them myself.
This show should never have been on the network, It was too dirty. It was too inside.
I almost disagree with that because I think people were really, really into show business and wanted to pull the curtain back.
A lot of people say it was too inside, and I completely disagree because it was very inside, but not too inside. Because ER, you don't get much more inside than when you're going, give me 65 cc's of hydrocarbonol, blah, 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 because someone's guts are open on a table. Like, that's inside. And that's inside a place no one wants to go. But action was inside of a place everyone's fascinated with, show business. So I don't buy that it was too inside, because funny's funny.
Unfortunately, nobody was watching. I mean, we were watching, but nobody else was.
Like all good underdog shows, we should have been ignored. How can you be a fucking underdog if you're not going to be ignored? How can you be hip if everybody likes you?
I asked Doug Herzog, president of Fox at the time, I said, Doug, don't cancel us. Move us to another night. Put us on after that 70s show on Sunday night. He said, I can't do that, Jay. That's a family show. I said, family show? Doug, every time I watch the show, they're all eating hash brownies. He said, yes, Jay, but they're all eating them together.
I thought it was breakthrough television. It was honest and true and funny, irreverent. It was all the things that I like.
We exploded into the sky. It was beautiful. And it was done. It was great. It wasn't like, hey, what do you got? Season 5, Peter goes to rehab again. Who cares? 13 and we're out.
It is just another television show. At the end of the day, that is it. It's a half hour. It's a half-hour sitcom. We are whores. I sold the show out for extra money, and everyone who wrote on it, if we really gave a shit about what we wrote, we'd go home and write poetry. We do it because we're paid a great deal of money and because often there are blowjobs available.